we're really not going to get a debate about that. I'm trying to understand the data.
Yep.
Are those the actual dates, Scott, that they took these samples at the first of the year? Or is that just a...
No, those are the years.
It's a sample date.
If you see at the top,
Yeah.
they have taken 4,086 measurements. Okay, and this is for all of Charlotte Harbor. This isn't just one spot here or there. This is for the whole harbor.
One critical thing in all this discussion relative to nutrient loadings, and just to try to address that question you had on fish salt forms, and now things are looking like nitrogen and phosphorus. What's happening right now is that the EPA is basically establishing TMDLs, total maximum daily loadings. And phosphorus and nitrogen are part of that, all those chemicals.
You should tell them what TMDLs are.
Total maximum daily loadings. It's loadings of pollutants in the water, allowable loadings. And they've established geographically different thresholds for those particular elements. And nitrogen and phosphorus are on that list. And those happen to be pollutants within wastewater. Okay? And one of the interesting parts of this whole discussion is that when you look at these systems, and remember, septic systems really technically are called on-site wastewater treatment systems. I emphasize the word treatment, okay? And there are three components to those systems: the septic tank, the drain field, and the soil beneath the drain field provides a lot of treatment. Fluctuations in the water table totally have an impact on the level of treatment that septic system is going to provide. So that's why that's why I was asking the question as to when during the calendar year were these tests done. Because if they were done during the rainy season, let's say Labor Day weekend, you might get different results as far as nutrient loadings.
That's correct.
In the water.
But and I'll tell you that these tests are taken at regular intervals because it's science. They have to take them at a regular interval, year after year after year.
If there's a way of getting some of that backup data.
You can go to the website. Anybody can go to the website. You can choose any particular location, and you can choose 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever you want. Up to you.
And all of a sudden, during the dry season, in January, February, you're going to have the maximum separation because your water table, as you folks all know, it's your problem.
Right. The point is that the trend line is clearly getting better. The harbor is clearly getting cleaner. So that's the point overall. We understand, we want to be concerned about, whether or not we're dealing with something more serious. I have to just reply to you. When you say they're pollutants, nitrogen and phosphorus are totally natural. The problem is having them too much. We're blessed with nice soil here with phosphorus. That's why we have phosphorus mines that create a lot of jobs for us. The nitrogen is, what all the plants eat. This is not like just a pollutant that is a chemical that's very toxic and is going to kill us. So that's another issue. The FDEP, who I've talked to extensively, have told me that the #1 problem is the agriculture mining, the mining, the farm runoff, the storm runoff. They listed to me somewhere in 6 or 7 was the septic tanks. So that's what they told me. So anyway, can I get back to the charts? Because I know that the science was the main thing that I was told over the last couple of months as I'm learning this. The science is there. We actually had Commissioner Duffy who said, I've seen the science and the harbor is polluted. Okay, now these guys are supposed to promote growth in our area. So when we hear about, who was it, Joanna was talking about, this is the best place to retire, but we have commissioners and newspapers are telling everybody that the harbor's polluted. Now, why would people come if we're telling them our harbor's polluted?
Scott, you're in 7.5 minutes. I just wanted to share that.
You know what? Let's go through this really quick. Okay. After nitrogen, okay, we have another form. We have another form of nitrogen, NO3. This is usually fertilizers and other items. You can see again, the trend line is clearly down. So what does that mean? After 1,400 measurements, it's clearly getting cleaner. Okay, you're also going to hear about phosphorus in this, and I'm going to skip through this because I want to save time for others. But if you look at the phosphorus, this is from 1975. If you look at that chart, from 1975 to 2012, does that trend line look like it's going down? The trend line is the black line. Okay, and remember, phosphorus is that's the stuff we put on our lawns to fertilize. It's just normal stuff. Okay, the engineers that I've talked to said it's not possible for the nitrogen and phosphorus to go from the front of my house on Spring Lake under the soil and leach all the way over 110 feet to Spring Lake. It's not possible. The only way it happens is if my septic tank is not working properly. And so that's why I urge all of you to keep your septic tank functioning and clean and healthy, because we're told by the experts it's the most natural, most organic way to handle the effluent. Okay, so if we want, do you want to send it off to Charlotte County Utilities where they put chlorine and all these other chemicals to treat it, and then they end up treating it to 90%, it's not even 100% clean, and then they dump it in the river? Okay, the sand is a natural filter. It works perfectly. Septic tanks have been around since Roman times. Why? Because they work. Okay, so the issue is, all I hear is science, science, science. I'm showing you science from the independent University of Florida, South Florida. These trend lines are very clear. Phosphorus is going down, nitrogen is going down. So would you say, Commissioner Doherty, since you have a civil engineering background, is this science acceptable to you?
I'm going to hand that over to people in the organization to take a look at it, and to be able to do research for me as to the basis for this, Scott. I'm not going to comment this evening. I haven't had a chance to really study it myself, but I appreciate it. It looks very interesting.
Well, let me say this to you. Why do I, as a private citizen, have to prove to you that the science?
Please. Okay, we've got other people that want to speak. I understand. I understand that I'm going to take this.
Could you just answer that question, please? Why do we have to prove to you that the science is on our side? You should be proving to us that the harbor's polluted.
Well, there's a lot of different pieces of this equation.
It is complicated.
And this is one piece of it. Yes.
This is the largest piece of it.
It's an important piece.
This is the largest piece of it.
I don't want to get into a debate right now.
That's why we're here, Commissioner. You're debating to spend, I'm sorry, Commissioner, but you're debating to put sewers in and spend $300 to $400 million of our money. Yeah, we're going to have a debate about this. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't understand that.
Scott, I'm saying this evening.
This is the only time we get to talk to you one-on-one.
Well, that's true.
In a public forum where you answer back and forth.
Let's have a little structure here, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to share a little. I'd like to share a little bit of the frame of reference about this. And by the way, the process that we're at now, there will be a public hearing on this issue where everyone will have an opportunity.
I understand. But you're voting on the MSBU next week. Are you voting on the MSBU next week? For
There is
Spring
going to
Lake?
be a public hearing on this issue.
Answer the question. Are you voting on the MSBU next Tuesday at the regular meeting? You were scheduled to vote on it next week. Because once that MSBU is passed, it's very difficult for us to overturn it.
Let me clarify.
No, that's not so, because that's tied into the budget. It doesn't get approved till before.
Let me
I just want to.
I think we have this meeting before the vote, and I think these people are quite clear where they stand on this. You need to prove to us, we're all for clean water, but you need to prove to us that we have to spend $10,000 to $12,000 and double our water bills because of the pollution from the septics. I don't see any science, you cannot prove it, so I don't see why you're pushing this. So I think there's another reason, and I think it's CCU is $190 million in debt.
Yes.
I'm trying,
Folks, please.
one of the reasons,
Let the commissioners answer, please.
one of the reasons we schedule this meeting is so we can have an opportunity to hear what folks have to say.
Yeah, but we have,
Well, then I guess, are you suggesting we leave, sir? You know, I'm trying to give everyone a chance. I'm trying to be courteous, I'm trying to be polite, so we can hear what each have to say. Let me share with you the frame of reference that we're operating from. Well, then you explain it to me, sir, with all due respect.
Let's be respectful. We have to hear what they have to say. I appreciate it.
I'm not going to respond. You know, what I'm trying to do, we're trying to listen. We don't have to be here. We're here because we want to have this dialogue. We want to hear what folks are concerned. We want to get away from the fluff and try and get down to the facts. And I sit here and I'm confused. Michelle gets up and tells me every single lake in Charlotte County is polluted, has fecal stuff. You tell me there's not any. Now,
No,
Now,
no,
excuse me.
that's not what she said. That's not what she said. She's already talking about a broken sewer pipe. It's ironic that Sunshine Lake is sewered all the way around it, and that's polluted.
Excuse me, and Sunshine Lake goes directly into the harbor.
And it goes directly into Elevator Bay, and then directly to the Port Charlotte Beach Complex, which supposedly we're told is the main reason we have to put these sewers in, because it's driving away tourism.
the reason that from my understanding, the reason that we're dealing with the sewer issue now is that there was a commitment made a number of years ago.
Folks,
Let him finish.
last
I mean, I'm
point.
willing to listen to everyone in this room, and I'm just asking you to give me the same shot. I'm trying to tell you the information that we're given and the frame of reference we're trying to operate from. Commissioner Doherty and I, and none of the other commissioners that I know of, have a personal stake in wanting to have sewers or not have sewers. We're dealing with the information that's provided to us. One of the pieces of information that I have and was given to us is that the county committed itself to sewering the Spring Lake area as part of an agreement that was made when the Manchester water lock was removed. Now, no one on the commission, at least 4 of us on the commission now, had absolutely nothing to do with that. Now, that's information that we're given. I am desperately trying to find out, number one, is that factual? Is that not factual? And I've been trying to get the research on that, and I've come up with a few documents. One of the problems that we face, and hopefully, we have a Rotunda lawsuit. No one on the commission had anything to do with Rotunda. We had to deal with it. There was a lawsuit where the courts gave an incredible bill to the county when they bought out General Development and some of the sewer lines. No one on the commission. But we have to deal with those issues. And one of the things that, sort of kind of in a way, we were saddled with, and I'll put that in quotes, is the fact that there's documentation that says this county pledged to put sewers in the Spring Lake area as, ma'am, excuse me, if you can't be courteous and polite to each other, we're not going to serve any purpose tonight. I'm just sharing with you the information I have in front of me.
Let me share. This is the Manchester Lock Agreement. This is the Manchester Lock Agreement, okay, that he's referring to. And right here on the second page, it talks about a phased sewer expansion for pre-1983 septics. It's not for everybody. It's just for pre-1983 because generally speaking, those homes were lowered. They were lower. They were not as elevated. After that, everybody knows. You look around at houses. Some houses are up 3 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. It's all different. I understand this. 1983, I can agree with this. This is a little bit farther back, and the leach fields are a little bit lower. And when the water comes up in the summertime, it gets into the leach field. Totally understand it. But let's fix these leach fields and not put in sewers for everybody else who can't, there's no reason to do it. I don't understand that.
Scott, please. You interrupted Commissioner George.
I gave him plenty of time.
Well, sir, you got 17 minutes.
I understand that. I don't see anybody here really is very upset that I'm still up
just
here
saying,
talking.
please be respectful.
I'm totally respectful to the commissioner, but he's just saying that we're locked into a Manchester Lock Agreement, just like we're locked in because of the science. The science is wrong. And then we have a Manchester Lock Agreement that clearly says, if the way I'm reading it, is pre-1983 septics. Right. It doesn't say the whole county. And as a matter of fact, we found that they have already applied for county-wide sewer systems, $30 million from the states, which is something else I'd like to ask about. Why is that going on? Why have you applied for grants from the NEP program, the National Estuary Program, for $16 million? Okay, to sewer Charlotte County. I will show you the documents. I have them right here.
I'm not questioning that. I just don't.
This is the National Estuary Program. Our own commissioner, Bill Truex, is a member of this committee. Here he is, Honorable Bill Truex, Charlotte County. These are the board members, okay? And as I go through, we have $80 million for dissolved nutrients. And then if I flip back here, Commissioner, I'm looking at grants for oyster stabilization, scallops, $2 million for this, $20 million for that. But then I get to the Charlotte County sewers. Charlotte County Central Sewer Expansion, $16,070,000. Septic tank replacement for all of these areas, $380 million. $379,900,000. What's an extra million? So why are we putting all this, asking for all this money? And then you're asking for money from these people who, a lot of them are on fixed income. They don't have a whole lot of money to spend 10 grand on a sewer connection. So explain this to me.
I have to research this.
Explain, yeah.
I don't,
Why didn't you ask Commissioner Truex, who's a board member?
I don't know the numbers that you're talking about. I'm not saying they're inaccurate, I just don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's, I understand that, and I understand you get a lot of data, but for us, it's very serious when you want to come and control our lives here with sewers, tell us we have to spend $10,000 or $12,000, and then you don't have a reason for it. I mean, really, if the harbor was polluted, why would the National Nature Conservancy spend $1 million to seed it with scallops? Why would they seed it with oysters? Because the water is clean.
Right.
Anyways,
No, they don't have any data, that's the point.
let me, I've got about 40 minutes.
I'm happy to yield my time to the commissioners, but I have to say, again, I'm very disappointed Commissioner Constance, Truex, and Duffy were here. I give you guys credit for coming out, but we've been talking about this for 3 months. We've been asking you for the science. You haven't come up with any science. Then you talk about the Manchester Lock Agreement. We get the Manchester Lock Agreement with difficulty, I might add. And I thank Commissioner Duffy, Deutsch for getting that for us. But every time we find out what's going on with the truth, such as the science, then you move the goalposts. I mean, last week at the meeting with CCU Director Terry Kuchar, you asked her for several data points, several issues. She didn't have any answers for you. How do we pay her $110,000 a year, and she comes to this meeting and doesn't have this very critical information, so you guys can make a proper decision?
I would like to get back to one thing on the timeline that you mentioned about. Next Tuesday, the way I understand it, we will be asked to consider the modifications to the resolution that was approved over a year ago. Okay, this was
Which resolution was that, sir?
on this MSBU. Okay, it was actually approved over a year ago. Now, what has happened, and I don't have the exact date, some of us have asked for stakeholder meetings. Stakeholders had meetings, as you know, and they came up with hardship, consideration for hardship cases, consideration for rebates for people that have newer systems, and that's what is being looked at right now in the amendments to the resolution that was approved like a year ago. So it's not like this was just set up or we're approving it. We'll be discussing the amendments to that resolution next to the 28th. As Commissioner Deutsch said, the actual public hearing on the MSBU is in July sometime. I don't have the exact date, but it's sometime in July.
Will you hold that hearing in the evening so we can all be there?
I don't know how it's set up.
Come on, Christian, you can find that out
Well,
for
I'll
us.
find out. No, but I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we've got a lot of people here that want to be coming
Well, all
to
I'm
that
saying
meeting.
is I don't know this moment. Okay.
I just asked you if you could set it up for the evening.
Well, we'll ask the chairman. Yeah, we'll ask. And chairman of the administration will. And then basically we have the actual budget public hearings in September. So September is really when it all comes to a conclusion as to what happens.
Okay, so just to be clear, that MSBU law that I thought I understood, and I may be wrong,
The MSBU.
the MSBU, the change in the law that came about recently, once the MSBU is passed, that can be repealed by this commissioner's vote, or do we have to recall the ones that vote for it and then have 3 votes to put it down?
What's not in concrete yet is the amount of the assessment. The MSBU has been established. The MSBU has been established. The amount of the assessment, and that was established, I believe, a year ago, Commissioner Deutsch. I think you could, something like that. I mean, it was back in 2012. So the hearings that are taking place are relative to the budget stuff and how much the assessment will be. They've produced a number. It's whatever it is. It's approximately I've heard that this is, if you take $10,000 a system, it's $500 a year,
Right.
over 20 years.
Right.
All that's part of this whole process that we're going through right now. The MSBU was established, but there are MSBUs that don't assess $1, that they don't assess anything.
So this MSBU is established, meaning that you're just deciding how much money you're going to charge us?
How much, that's what happens with all MSBUs every year. They go through a hearing process to determine the rate.
So you're already saying that you're determined to put these sewers in, no matter what?
The MSBU was set up a year ago.
I understand that.
No,
So it
no.
was set up a year ago, and you're determined, from what I am hearing, and I could be wrong, but you tell me if I'm wrong, you've already determined with this MSBU that you are putting in sewers in the Spring Lake area.
The Board of County Commissioners established an MSBU for that purpose a year ago. A year ago.
Yes.
But,
So that's a yes. You're determined to put sewers in.
Scott, I didn't, I'm
Don't
saying.
dance around the
It was
question, answer.
Yes.
established a year ago.
I'm sorry.
You know, we have to go through this whole budget process to find out.
I understand that. But if you've decided to set up an MSBU before you've determined the amount, there's an issue with that, but it tells me that you're already determined to go through with it.
And I believe, as Commissioner Doyle said, it all traces back to what we understand as the obligation that Charlotte County had relative to the Manchester Lock Agreement.
Yes, and we already talked about the Manchester Lock Agreement.
Just
Again,
saying.
around in circles we go. We're not getting anywhere, because the Manchester Lock Agreement clearly says, as I showed you, pre-1983 septic tanks. Okay, so we've eliminated the science, we've eliminated the Manchester Lock Agreement, and now you're going to tell us that it's what? See, that's why I say, to me, there's something else
Scott,
going on, and it's the Charlotte County Utilities.
are you
It's
saying-
terribly mismanaged.
Are you
It's
saying
terribly mismanaged.
that there's no validity in the agreement that the county supposedly is committed to put sewers in?
No, I didn't say that. I said you are committed to it because it says very clearly pre-1983. Everybody else who has a home after 1983 shouldn't have to be forced
Right.
to hook up to a sewer.
Let me-
We have a state law, Commissioner Doyle, true or not, we have a state law that says if a sewer line comes by your house, you have to connect. You can have a perfectly functioning septic system, and you have to connect. You don't have an option. Is that
there a
true?
period of time on that?
It says within a reasonable time, which is what?
I'm not sure that's defined.
365 days.
155 days.
365
So
plus
within 1
30.
year,
About a year.
right, and so within 1 year, you are stuck. You have to get a sewer, even though this agreement says you do not. So the point that the reason why they're trying to put this through everywhere is because then you have to get connected, and then you are connected to Charlotte County Utilities. You have to pay them their monthly fee, and this is the only way that they can climb out of their near bankruptcy, $190
Yes,
million.
yes.
I did a little research today on the debt issue, and I'll respond to that here in a second. But I'll just do it now. Right now, folks, so you understand it, the clerk of the circuit court, Barbara Scott,
They can't hear you,
I'm
Commissioner.
sorry, the clerk of the circuit court, Barbara Scott, is kind of the chief financial officer for us. She's a separately elected constitutional officer, and she watches the money. It basically does the audits for the Board of County Commissioners. Today, I received up-to-date numbers as to the debt of Charlotte County Utilities as of right now. Debt owed to outside entities, bonds, state revolving fund, and so forth, $166 million. The total debt, according to the clerk of courts for Charlotte County Utilities, is actually 168 not according to the clerk, but basically at 168.5 million dollars. And the extra $2.5 million is an internal loan relative to Peace River. And it was loaned from capital projects or something internally, it wasn't an external. So if you really want to know what CCU's debt is right now, it's 168.5. Now, at the current rates that people are paying, the debt service and operation, all debt will be paid off by 2022 with no additional customers. Okay? Just so you have that, I wanted to understand that.
With no additional customers.
Current customers only, 9 years.
Does that include the $13 million loss in Rotunda?
That wasn't, I don't know
Is that
exactly
debt
what fund, he
included?
wasn't part of the CCU.
It's the total debt they're saying now.
Right, so shouldn't that $13 million loss in Rotunda that we all have to pay for be included in CCU's debt?
I don't know how that debt was paid.
What about the $60 million?
I wasn't on the board at that time. I wasn't on the board yet. So I'm trying, folks, please, I'm trying to, been on the board 6 months, and I'm trying to, I'm asking a lot of questions. There's a lot to dig into, and I haven't got all the answers. I'd be misinforming you if I tried to come up with an answer. I don't know exactly what fund that settlement came out of.
That came out of the reserves, general fund.
So that came out of the general fund, Commissioner Deutsch?
The general
So
fund.
Charlotte County screws up, Charlotte County Utilities screws up, and all the other taxpayers have to pay for it?
Yes.
The $60 million lawsuit that we are probably going to lose, is the general public going to have to pay for that as well? All of these debts should be put on CCU so we can see the true cost of how badly managed CCU is.
Yeah, yeah. That's right.
Quite honestly, you're not the only person who's expressed concern over how that $13 million was paid. I don't know what all the options are, Scott. I don't know that. So,
Can I give you one option? Let's privatize CCU and put it into the
Yes.
private market. That would solve most of the problems.
I did want to get you up to date on the debt.
I appreciate that.
And the fact that with no additional customers, the debt is paid off by 2022.
Well, that remains to be seen, first of all, because we don't know what interest rates are going to do, because a lot of that debt,
It's
Commissioner,
everybody's estimate, right?
it's everybody's estimate, so it's very hard for me, when you come here and you say it's going to be paid off in 2024, or 22, I think you said. I was told 2024, but 2022 is even better. There's a lot of things that can happen before, because right now, we know that Charlotte County Utilities has to expand their wastewater treatment plant. By law, in their current operating permit, which I have right here, they have to expand that wastewater treatment plant. Their permit expires June 2nd. That's in a couple weeks, folks, okay? They need to get that plant expanded, and we're talking $30 to $50 million. We do not know the final cost. We have asked them. That's going to be another assessment. By law, the EPA requires them, when they get to 70% of capacity, they have to expand that plant. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's another assessment that we need to talk about, because there's another, what, 30, 40, $50 million in CCU debt that we need to talk about. We need to talk about how much is for the maintenance. We're in a situation now where Michelle talked about the broken sewer pipe in the back. We've got breaking sewer pipes everywhere. This is where most of the pollution is coming from, by the way. CCU is the biggest polluter, right? Yes, they are. Absolutely. I did not know this. I have to tell you, I did not know this 3 months ago. I was flexible. I was okay either way. If it was going to clean up the harbor, I'll put sewers in. But as I dig into it, the biggest problem is very clearly the utilities around this country. The EPA says 37% of the pollution in our waterways are from the utilities. The EPA says that, not me. The EPA says that.
Scott,
And old pipes that are breaking, lift stations don't work. How many of you have a lift station that doesn't work and you're, right? Look, you have lift stations that break everywhere, and then that pours in the sewage. When the rains come, the sewage, yeah, that's right, the sewage comes up out of the station. So our concern is that CCU is terribly mismanaged, and it's not going to get any better. We need to, is it true that the utilities director is an accountant?
Scott,
Is that true?
I don't know.
Is it true the CCU director is an
Scott,
accountant?
just within 32 minutes, I want to find out. We are going to. That's what I was going to ask. I was going to simply ask if you folks are comfortable with Scott continuing. That's okay.
Yes.
In case there was somebody out here that wanted to get up to the podium and speak, give them the opportunity, because this meeting will conclude at 7 p.m. Okay? We started on time, we're going to end on time. And so I just wanted to confirm that. If y'all are comfortable, yes, sir.
I have one question regarding,
You have to come up to the podium, sir. You have to be on the record. Please state your name.
my name is Herb Koenig. My question is regarding the already created MSBU, which will be funded or whatever come September. Is that MSBU functioning now? Are there members of that MSBU? Does anybody know?
No. There's no member.
It's just on paper.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
And there are MSBU's, like I said before.
I know there are.
There are that are at zero. I mean, they get established, they complete their work, and they go back to zero. This gentleman would like to speak.
They're fighting over the podium.
State your name for the record, sir.
I will. I'm William Kopp, K-O-P-P, and I've been a cop all my life. And if I may, I'm also a veteran, and Steve knows. And I want to compliment our commissioners because they are working for us. Voting for us, I didn't say, I said they're working for us. Now, if I may, I live 134 West Tarpon Boulevard, next one block off of Edgewater. A few years ago, very recently, we established Lee Marie Community, which is a gated community on Edgewater. And they put a lift station in. And when they did, they said everyone on Edgewater had to tap on to the sewer line. Every individual. All along comes Spring Lake Park. Now we have a beautiful park developed by our county commissioners. And guess what? They put a 5,000-gallon septic tank in. If you don't believe that, check into it. Did they tap onto the sewer line? No way. Now, this is, check into it. Steve knows that I don't tell stories out of luck. I think that we all deserve something. I never forget, in Columbus, Ohio, the famous slogan, "Come to Florida and live easy on Easy Street." Well, I'm a veteran. I'm living easy. I don't know it's on Easy Street. Now I got to pay the taxes. Very recently, I had to pay $100 and some to get a septic tank permit. And very recently, I paid $200 and some to have it pumped out, because it's going to be pumped every 5 years. Now I'm maintaining my septic tank and I'm paying those bills. Now I'm being talked about, we're going to put a sewer line down the street. But they can put it over there on a Sunrise and put a 5,000-gallon septic tank in. That's okay. Check it out. It's the truth. Check it out. Now, all you folks are in there for the same reason I am. We're veterans, we're people, and we came to Florida to live easy on Easy Street. Now, what is easy on Easy Street like? I think it's time that we, and Steve, I believe, is an acquaintance. And I'll probably see him for the next 2 or 3 days over again, because he always represents veterans. Where he votes for them or not, or where he does things for them, but he represents them. And God bless Bill too. Bill, I want to thank you for listening to me tonight.
I'm Ken.
Folks, when you go home tonight, think what's good. What's good for Charlotte Harbor, and that God bless us up north. They're putting phosphate down that river every day. And if you don't believe it, go over on the river and fish a little bit and you'll see white on the bottom. Now, we need to take care of our community. That's correct. And God bless you, because I was a state rep in Ohio. And I understand the problems that these two gentlemen face. And I understand what all of us face. We don't need any more taxes. Amen.
We've got 20 minutes. Scott, there's one individual, looks like he doesn't want to...
3 or 4.
That's okay, no problem.
Hey, Scott, keep up the good work, buddy. Hey, I appreciate it.
Will there be anybody else?